plug-in hybrids. They seem like a good idea on paper, and if you only drive about 30 kilometres a day and you can charge your car at home every day, then you're likely going to end up with a tank full of petrol that'll go off before you end up using it all up. But the price of electric vehicles has come crashing down and the infrastructure is constantly getting better, which leaves cars like the Peugeot 308 GT PHEV looking a little less attractive. But is it still worth considering a plug-in hybrid? Let's find out. Hello, welcome to Four Wheels in a Seat. My name's Alex Dalrymple, and this is a channel where you can see new cars reviewed every week. To make sure you don't miss one, hit the subscribe button down below, and if you enjoy the video, please do give me a like. I really appreciate it. So this is the Peugeot 308 GT plug-in hybrid. I reviewed the wagon version of this car earlier this year. In fact, I took it on a family road trip to the beach back in January. If you want to check that review out, click the link up there. I was extremely impressed with its very large boot. Obviously, this car doesn't have quite as much storage space, but because of its smaller size and larger engine, it's actually even better to drive. The front of the 308 hatchback looks exactly the same as the wagon. So we've got this same really good looking grille with the 308 badge up the top here. And the 308 is actually the first car in Peugeot's lineup to score the all new Peugeot logo on the front grille there. I really like these light clusters and these long fang-like driving lights that also act as turn indicators, and this crease that extends the entire length of the car, sort of pulling the lights back. It's a very sleek look. From the side, you can see this is a pretty classic hatchback sort of shape with that crease extending along the front fender here. It's continued on the rear as well. We've got 18-inch black alloys and a nice big sunroof up on top. The 308 looks good at the back too. I especially like these segment LED taillights that light up sequentially when you approach the car with the key fob in your pocket. The overall design here reminds me a little bit of the Hyundai i30, but that's by no means a criticism. The one thing I don't like though, that I will criticize, is just the fake exhausts down here at the bottom of the bumper. It seems just a little bit unnecessary. Underneath the tailgate here, we have a pretty good storage space. It's 361 litres. The wagon's 600 plus litre boot though really does have it all over this one, but this is still a pretty good usable space. So one interesting factoid about this car is that this plug-in hybrid has a more powerful petrol engine than the regular petrol version of the 308, if that makes sense. Here we've got a 1.6 litre four-cylinder turbo that outputs 132 kilowatts of power and 250 newton meters of torque, which is pretty zippy and it gets along very nicely, and it certainly performs a lot better than the underpowered three-cylinder version that I found in the wagon version of the 308 earlier this year. There's an electric motor in here as well, and Peugeot claim that you can get up to 60 kilometres of range in full EV mode, although I found 40 was a little closer to the mark. But unlike the Honda HR-V, for example, which uses a generator to recharge the battery as you drive, that's not an option here. So once the battery is empty, that's it. You're just on purely petrol power, except for low-speed manoeuvring, and when you're coasting along the freeway, the electric motor will kick back in there as it would in a regular hybrid. When the electric motor is charged, however, the fuel economy comes in at just 1.3 litres per 100 kilometres on a combined cycle, which is outstanding. Inside and the hatch is obviously exactly the same as the wagon, which is brilliant. So we've got lots of really interesting angles and straight lines and curves and shapes and lots of soft touch materials. It's a really nice cabin. The software running on the 10-inch center console screen is one of the best that you'll find in any car. It's a little bit different to what you find in other cars, but it is really intuitive and clean and easy to use. There's cool animated transitions between apps. There's wireless Apple CarPlay, a really good native navigation system, and the climate control system is mostly operated through here too. But my favourite bit of tech in here would have to be this iToggle screen underneath the main screen, which operates as a row of shortcuts for the center console screen. It works in a similar way to the latest Hyundai and Kia shortcut buttons, but these are customizable, so you can have shortcuts to whatever you like, and they also feature icons, and there's a little bit of an animated transition that flashes up every time you touch one of the buttons. I really like this. It's one of the best features. We've got a row of physical shortcut buttons underneath that for the climate control, volume knob for the sound system. There's wireless phone charging here, but I have to say it is very intermittent in the way that it charges my phone. I think it kind of slides around on top here a little bit. I'm always moving it, which is a little bit annoying. There's another cubby underneath here with a bit of extra storage space, a USB-C port and a 12-volt outlet. Underneath this sliding door here, we've got a couple of cup holders. There's no gear shifter. Instead, we've got this rather large switch to handle the automatic transmission, drive mode controls, another little storage cubby here, and the center console bin, which is actually really very shallow. Another USB-C port in there too. The digital instrument cluster again looks really good, and it's different to anything that you're going to find in any other car, and it has a 3D effect because there's a screen built into the top of it up here that reflects off the plastic cover. So you actually have 2 layers of digital information there. It doesn't really quite show up on camera, but believe me, it looks really cool in the metal. The steering wheel I love. It has such a good feel to it. It's nice and small with a flat top and a flat bottom. It feels so good when you're cornering. The only issue is that it gets in the way of your view of the instrument cluster unless you put it lower than what feels comfortable. I personally like steering wheels up a little bit higher. I have to have it quite low here so that it doesn't obstruct my view of the instrument cluster. That's a little bit annoying. The seats are really good. So we've got nice, comfortable leather buckets here. These are some of the best seats I've sat in recently. They're heated. There's also a massage function. There's excellent lumbar support. The driver gets full electric adjustment, manual only for the front passenger. Seating position is excellent. Fantastic view out the front. I'm nice and low in the cabin, so it feels nice and sporty with plenty of headroom. The wing mirrors are a little bit on the small side, but the passenger side one does tilt down when I'm reversing, so that makes getting in and out of tight spots a little bit easier. Plus there's also parking cameras on the front and back, and there's also a top-down 360 view, which really does help getting in and out of tight spots as well. And sliding on into the back seat of the Peugeot 308 hatch. Yeah, not really good for me. Admittedly, I am tall. I'm 190 centimeters tall, and my knees are hard into the seat in front of me. I would not be a happy camper back here at all, I'm afraid. Kids though, I'm sure will be fine. Also not a lot of headroom for me either. Yeah, that's not ideal. Look, the fit and finish back here is really nice. The seats are comfortable and everything feels really premium, especially here on the doors with this nice sort of Alcantara finish here that's also on the front doors as well. The rear headrest is kind of digging into my neck a little bit, but that's easily fixed. We've got two USB-C ports down here, and also there's a bit of an extra storage cubby there. And oh, there's no rear armrest. So look, for the kids, they'll be fine. For me, yeah, this isn't really great. The Peugeot 308 hatchback is a very nice car to drive. I think it could actually be up there with one of the best you can buy. The 4-cylinder engine in this car is so much better than the 3-cylinder 1.2 litre one that was in the 308 wagon and is also found in the regular petrol version of the hatchback. This 1.6 litre 4-cylinder engine, it just goes, and it's really, really good. Safety gear includes pretty much everything you can see on the screen right now. There's forward collision warning, long range rear cross traffic alert, and the wing mirrors have blind spot monitors. It is pretty epically quiet in here, and so quiet in fact you almost can't tell when the petrol engine kicks in and takes over from the electric motor. It is really smooth and really seamless. But there is one way you can easily tell whether or not it's electric or petrol power that's moving the car, and that is the colour of the speedometer. When it's blue, it means electric because that is the colour of electricity. When it's white, you're on petrol. Regular viewers of my channel might notice that I'm not using the Q word to describe this French car. I'm not going to do it. So, all up, I'm very impressed with the Peugeot 308 GT plug-in hybrid. One thing I'm not impressed with though is the price. At $69,990, it's actually more expensive than a Tesla Model 3 long range, which has a 600 kilometer battery range, and it's much faster and larger than this car. So unless you're a die-hard Peugeot fan, I think you might find better value elsewhere.